nailed the mount on this. It's like, oh my God, it's like right there. Why would I watch TV anywhere else?
Yeah.
This is the move then. Okay, bath time's over. Can you believe it took me 3 years to find a sponsor for this project? Next up, we're gonna get a tough gaming PC. It's tough for gamers. And we're gonna put it up there, which is actually like more why it needs to be tough.
Don't drop your body down the stairs.
I'll try not to.
Now's our chance, guys.
Hey! Hey!
See you later.
Hey, what's the HDMI plan?
You said 15 feet.
I did.
And I said, are you sure?
There's only one way to find out for certain. Got some good news here. It's
and
possible
up
that
there,
cable's long
which
enough.
is actually
like more why it needs to be tough.
Don't drop your body down the stairs.
Hey, I'll try not to.
HDMI in.
Now's our chance, guys.
One.
Hey! Hey!
See you later.
Hey, what's the HDMI plan?
This isn't even regular Philips Hue, is it?
You said 15
It
feet.
is regular Philips Hue,
I
but all
did.
Philips Hue
and
can
I
sync
said,
down to
are
the
you
games if you have
sure?
a
There's
desktop
only
app.
one way to find out for certain.
Got some good news here. He's
And
trying
possible
to put it up
that
there,
cable's long
which
enough.
is actually.
I just don't want it to
more
come
why
off.
it's gotta. Like I trust
Don't
this
drop
so
your
much
body
more
down
than
the
I
stairs.
trust double-sided
I'll try
tape.
not
That is
to.
not
Now's our chance, guys.
One.
Hey!
Oh, hey, whoa.
Hey!
Oh,
See you later.
Yep, it's bright. I don't know if that's gonna enhance it. How much did I pay for this?
Hey, what's
a
the
dimmer.
HDMI
This
plan?
isn't even. This is kind of a lot of electronics above my bathtub.
Is this the master plan to finally off me, you guys? I just need to cable manage these, and we're in. In terms of peripherals, I'm gonna go ahead and put the dongle for the RG Strix Go 2.4 up there. So it's 2.4 gigahertz for low latency, all that good stuff. Mouse and keyboard, that matters a lot. So we wanted something with great performance as well as strong range. So we're using the ROG Gladius 2 wireless. And then for our keyboard, awkwardly, Asus, who as you may recall is the sponsor of this video, doesn't have a high performance wireless gaming keyboard. So we're actually going with a G915 TKL. So I just need the dongle for this puppy, and we good to go. Put out your hand so I can put my 3 dongles in it. Oh yeah. Can I just lock you up there for a sec?
If you want, can I just come down instead?
You can, but what if we have to like reset it or something?
It's hot up here.
I have to pull the TV out. You're fine. You're good.
Help.
I guess I don't really know what input I'm supposed to be on, hey? Oh wait, it's working. All right, you're clear to come down.
Sweet.
So Jake applied conformal coating to the PCB. Have we tested to make sure it still works?
Oh, he did.
Wonderful. So this is great because, I mean, obviously I'm not gonna wanna drop it in the water. That would be really stupid. But if there's, steam coming off the bath or whatever, this should be much more resistant to it. Ooh, the ambiance here is improving a lot. We go ahead and fire up like a high octane video here. Wow, that's cool. I could get into this. What are we getting? 130 FPS, Doom Eternal 4K, Ultra Nightmare. Man, all the candles, all the fire right now, very mood setting. Like I can see why nobody does this. But on the other hand, because they didn't think of it. Now, let's enjoy what realistically I'm gonna spend most of my time on. Watching TV and movies that I don't feel like taking a break from in the bath. Or should we just stick to our podcast about movies called Carpool Critics?
It's a good podcast. You should check it out.
It's the best podcast you made.
Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, bro.
Shameless. Just like this plug for today's sponsor, Asus Tough. You guys, you gotta go check out Asus Tough. Why? Because they're daring. No one else for 3 years was willing to sponsor this concept in spite of how obviously cool it is. I don't know what their problem was. They were too afraid it would look like a satanic ritual. They were worried their weak hardware was going to get destroyed by the water vapor. I don't know what it is, but ASUS Tough, they're tough enough to use tuck tape on their chest. Go check them out at the link in the video description. If you guys enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy the one where we set up a hot tub gaming setup. Most people didn't really enjoy it, but hey, you might be one of those freaky deeks that will. NVIDIA's top of the line, RTX 3090. No, there's no time for that.
Wait.
We've got to talk about this thing now. If you haven't watched our RTX 3080 review, here's the background you need. RTX 3000, also known as Ampere, is what NVIDIA is calling the biggest generational leap in performance in the company's history. Now, if you go back far enough, I'ma press X here, but he's also not joking. These cards, unlike the Turing-based RTX 2000 series, are smoking fast right out of the gate, with our RTX 3080 reaching speeds in the neighborhood of 75 to 100% faster than its predecessor, depending on the task. That, combined with NVIDIA's super impressive DLSS 2.0 upscaling technology, means that 4K gaming went from someday to today, right now. But wait, there's even more. Like this message from our sponsor, Team Group. Team Group's extreme ARGB DDR4 gaming memory features clock speeds up to 4,000 megahertz and a stunning mirror design with RGB. Check it out on their launch event showing off their 3 brands, and you can win a $3,000 PC at the link below. But the 3080 is last week's news. In my hands right now is what Jensen, CEO of NVIDIA, lovingly referred to as the BFGPU. And spoiler alert, he's right. This is an RTX Titan for scale. Heck, here's an ROG Strix OC for scale. This thing is easily the largest, not to mention heaviest, conventional graphics card that I have ever seen, which means that anyone who buys one needs to also make some additional investments. First up, you're gonna need a case with a solid GPU mount and enough clearance. Being both taller and thicker than previous flagships, it simply won't fit in most small form factor cases. That is, unless you hot rod them. Second, you will need a fat power supply. Rated at 350 watts of power consumption, and with NVIDIA's new 12-pin connector, the 3090 could easily push your previous unit to its limits. Last but not least, you're gonna need the fastest gaming CPU in the world, because quite frankly, with anything else, you are going to be leaving performance on the table, which is something you don't wanna do when you're paying $1,500 US for a graphics card. Yes, my friends, compared to the RTX 3080, the world's first 8K gaming GPU gets you more than double, not to mention faster video memory, 20% more CUDA, tensor, and RT cores, and even NVLink support via a new connector that was presumably shrunk to minimize wasted space on the physically cut down PCB that makes NVIDIA's new flow-through cooler possible. But wait, double the video memory? Why? Well, aside from giving it much better compute capabilities, and more importantly, the ability to render much more complex 3D scenes in software like Blender, as it turns out, gaming times that, ideally 60 times per second or more. Wolfenstein Youngblood clocked in at over 11 gigs of memory usage at 8K. Sounds fun, but at the end of the day, it all boils down to performance, doesn't it? So by request, we built up a Core i9-10900K test bench to minimize our CPU bottlenecks, and dug out our RTX 3080 along with a 2080 Ti and Titan RTX for comparison. Starting off with Minecraft RTX, we're seeing about a 22% average frame rate improvement over the RTX 3080 and a whopping 51 to 60% over the Titan RTX, both with DLSS on and off. Not bad. Wolfenstein Youngblood, meanwhile, gives us a much more modest performance improvement over the 3080 at around 15%, but while still pulling off a respectable 50% improvement over the Titan RTX, a card that costs $1,000 more. So there you have it, guys. Buy yourself an RTX 3090 and a water bottle with all that money you saved, am I right? LTTstore.com. CSGO and Microsoft Flight Simulator tell a very similar story in 4K. But interestingly, the gap narrows significantly for Flight Simulator at 1440p because of CPU bottlenecks. That's right, despite the OP CPU and ultra graphics settings. Finally, the parallel N64 emulator, which does most of the graphics and sound emulation on the G.
Testing. Testing. Microphone strada. Microphone strada. Microphone strada. Hello. Hello. Hey guys, how are things? Like, what exactly are you guys doing? I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Android 11 is the first major release since Google ditched their dessert-focused codenames last year. But while Android's naming scheme is now objectively less fun, Android 11 actually has a few more tangible features for users to play with than its predecessor, which focused more on under-the-hood improvements. And yeah, we know that your Samsung or LG phone has probably had all these features since 2011. Can you just let Pixel owners have this moment, please? And can we also take a moment to appreciate our sponsor? Ting is a customer-focused mobile provider and wants to help you save money by getting you to pay only for the mobile data you use. Get $50 in Ting credit when you use our link down below. Back in March, we took a look at the Android 11 developer preview, and while a lot of features from that release made it through to the final version, some of them actually didn't. Now there are others that did make it through, but they were changed. One of the first unusual things about the release of Android 11 is that it's not only arriving for Pixel devices. Beta versions are already available for select OnePlus, Oppo, Realme, and Xiaomi phones. Now this news would make me a bit more optimistic that Android releases could roll out to more devices on day one, if A, these weren't Chinese brands with limited availability in the West, and B, 3 out of 4 of them weren't owned by the same freaking company. Also, C, it was just a beta release. So, yeah, Android phone manufacturers still suck when it comes to getting new versions of Android onto devices. But because Project Mainline is now in full swing, that's Google's initiative to break the core components of Android into separate modules that can be individually updated through the Play Store, allowing out-of-date devices
and feature patches without doing a complete system update. Android 11 brings the total number of mainline modules to 25, up from 13. Plus, big players like Samsung and Microsoft have committed to providing 3 years of Android upgrades. So, the Android update situation should get better, just like LTTstore.com has. You seen the new big water bottles? Oh, look at this shirt. Sweet. Alright, enough preamble. Let's get into some features. First up, the new embedded media controls. This feature was included in some of the developer previews, but in the final release, it looks way more polished. When video or audio is playing, these controls can be found in the notification shade as part of the quick settings section. Before, they lived down with the other notifications, you know, the common folk. If multiple media sources are active, you can swipe between them or just swipe them all away. You can also tap in the top right corner to switch the audio output device. Thank you! That is an awesome Android 10 feature that was formerly found in the expanded volume menu. While these new controls don't clog up your notifications with a giant media control box, they do take up space in the quick settings tiles. So only 6 tiles are displayed per page instead of 9, meaning that it could take you like 3 swipes to get to airplane mode. That doesn't seem very quick, especially when the flight attendant catches you using data and you have to get on airplane mode like now, or they're going to toss you out the airlock. Thanks, Google. Of course, you can just move them around. Speaking of airplane mode, turning it on will not turn Bluetooth off if you have wireless earphones. That's a real thank you, Google, right there. Now, we saw groups notifications show up in the developer preview, but their behavior and their design is a lot nicer here. Messages are grouped into the conversations category, and this, along with Android 10's ability to categorize app notifications as silent, default, or priority, yes, turn what was a daunting wall of text